one part of Essex is basically London, and where I am is an hour and a half away from London, which is about 1,000 miles in America. And similarly, I mean, there's a lot of jokes about Jersey girls transfer to jokes about Essex girls and that kind of thing, and they're kind of bullshit. So I feel like I've moved to the New Jersey of the UK. And happy about that I am too. And in fact, if I'm going to extend this metaphor way past breaking point, I'm going to think of where I live now. I'm not going to say exactly where I live now, but I'm thinking of the town where I am now as maybe being a little bit like Asbury Park.
Oh, all right, dude. That's great.
It's not like Asbury Park here at all, but it, you know, that's my new theory.
I love Asbury, man. Asbury. You've done shows there, right?
Many times, and the Asbury Park punk scene is amazing, and like there are houses there I used to sleep on the floor, and just there's a lot of great bands out there, and used to play the Lanes all the time, and I've played the Wonder Bar, and I've played the Stone Pony, which was a huge thing for me. Yeah. So I know well. And incidentally, as I'm sure you know, but I didn't know, Asbury and Asbury Park are two separate places. So, so for example, if you were a young English musician on your first ever solo tour of the USA, which was literally solo, it was just me, and I didn't drive at the time, so I was getting around by kind of public transport and bumming lifts and Greyhound buses and all this kind of thing. It's probably useful information to know that they're different places.
Did you tell me you didn't make it to a gig?
I did actually. I've got to tell you the story because it's amazing.
Please.
I got most of the way towards. I was on the train. I got most of the way to Asbury, and then I was like looking at the train map, and it had Asbury and Asbury Park, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And managed to kind of recalibrate. And it was I was going to the Lanes. It was the first show of a tour called the Revival Tour with a guy called Chuck Reagan, a guy called Tim Barry, a guy called Ben Nichols from the band Lucero. And we were all, and Chuck Reagan from Hot Water Music and all this kind of thing. So I was joining the tour. I was the unknown. I was the English guy opening up the tour and all this kind of thing. And I was really excited. These are some of my favorite artists. And so I'm running a little late. It was October, so it was kind of dark by the time I got to Asbury Park Station. And I felt like I was the only person who got off the train. And I didn't know where the Lanes was. And this is pre-Google Maps on your phone, I might add.
Oh, God.
And I had an address, obviously. And I had my rucksack and I had my guitar case. And I was like, I'm going to get a cab. And then I don't know if you've ever been to Asbury Park train station.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, there's not really a station. This train just kind of gives up for a bit. And then, you know what I mean?
Perfect way to describe it. Absolutely.
So I got off the train and looked around being like, shit. And then there was one cab, right? So I went over to the cab. And as a Jersey person, I'd be interested in your opinion about this story. I went over to the cab thinking to myself, thank God there's a cab. This is going to be fine. So I go up and I knock on the window. The guy's like, yeah, where you headed? I said, the Lanes. He said, no problem. I threw my stuff in the trunk, as you would say, the boot, I would say. And I got in the back of the cab and was sat down and was like, let's go. And he didn't go anywhere. And then about 2 minutes later, someone else came and got in the cab and told them where they were going. And I was like, this is my cab. Like, why are you getting in my cab? But the driver seemed cool with it, and I was very out on a limb at this point, and I was like, I guess maybe this is how cabs work in Jersey. The guy still didn't fucking go anywhere. And then an elderly African-American woman with what I'm presuming is her granddaughter came, and they got in the back with me. So now there's somebody in the front, and I'm in the back in one corner, and there's this kind of like 8-year-old girl in the middle, and then her grandma in the corner. So now the cab is full. And the cabbie starts driving, and he's told these other people told him where I was going, not said another word to me, and then starts driving, and I'm sitting there thinking, am I being kidnapped? It's like, what's happening here, please? And
it's the reverse taken.
And I was kind of clearly looking a bit fidgety because this girl and this sort of 8-year-old girl who was so like sweet and lovely and sort of angelic, she kind of looked at me, and she looked at grandma. She looked at me, she looked at grandma, and she went, who's this guy? And I wanted to say, who the fuck are you? Yeah. This is my cab. I got in the cab first. Anyway, I didn't say anything. I was just like going, what the fuck? And then we dropped off the guy in the front, and then after about 5 minutes, then we drove 5 minutes somewhere else, we dropped off those two. And then the driver drove back and then dropped me at the Lanes, which is literally a stone's throw away from the fucking train station. And that was my arrival at Asbury Park.
Amazing.
Yeah.